Do I find myself in some of the characters? I learn all the time from my characters. I know about all kinds of things in the world that I wouldn't know anything about if it wasn't for characters that I played. I watch and learn as my women make their mistakes, and probably learn from them much in the same way when I make my own mistakes, and hopefully learn from them. It's an interesting way of looking at it, but I didn't do so well in school. I learned a lot from my son as I raised him, and I've learned a lot from the women that I've played.
How long was the shoot, and after it wrapped, was there anything that followed you from it that surprised you?
The shoot was a little, I'm pretty sure it was a sort of standard low-budget indie shoot of 25 days or so. What followed a month and a half later was I was invited back down to New Orleans, where I started work on Treme, a television show that's been aired in the spring on HBO and will air again with a second season next spring on HBO. It's a terrific show about New Orleans. When I played Lois, and I spent the month and a half down there, I did not get to know the city at all. As I said, I really stayed inside this hotel and inside a car with somebody else driving it. A month and a half later, I ended up back in New Orleans, playing someone who is not only from there, but it is her whole heart and soul and being. So I got a chance to go down and get to know the city. Just maybe not the answer you were expecting, but that's what I thought of.
Over here.
You are having two films this festival. Which film did you shoot first? This is another conviction.
Oh, that's a really hard question. I'm trying to think of the time of year that we shot things. I'm sorry, I cannot answer that question. Conviction amounted to a handful of days on 2 different trips to Michigan for me. And as I say, Welcome to the Rileys was a few weeks of my life, and all of it over a year ago now. So.
Any more questions?
Back there?
Can you describe what it was like working with James Cameron?
I doubt that I could describe it. He's a delight. He's an actor through and through, especially male actors of a certain age come to it very often with a certain very adorable reticence about acting, like what a sissy thing to do. But he's so damn good at it, and somewhere in his being he does know that. I loved it. I loved working with him. I was easily wedded to him for many, many years. I carry with me still the engagement ring that Lois wears in the film.
Do you find it difficult to play Lois because she, on one hand, she recognized that Allison was her real daughter, but on the other hand, she wanted to be caring and loving and look out for her, so it sort of seems like a fine line to straddle. Did you find that difficult at all?
I think that just exactly those sort of fine lines I don't know if finding it difficult is exactly right, but I don't know if Ken Hickson or Jake Scott or myself, Ken Hickson being the writer and Jake, of course, being the director, ever really knew where Lois landed on things. We knew there was a lot she didn't know and a lot she wasn't ready for, and spends the course of the film sort of getting more ready for it. But I don't think at any point during the film, or in fact after the film, if you ask Lois point blank, how do you really feel about this? I don't know if she'd be able to answer yet. I think she's just reconnecting with feeling.
Here?
As a mother, did you agree with some of the choices Lois made? Like one when she follows her daughter in the parking lot, she has her with her boyfriend, and then again later when she pretty much just, like tells Mallory you can't be sure for like, I refuse to let that happen. I mean, as a mother, do you think you would have done the same thing?
Well, I wouldn't compare. Being a mother is the most important job I've ever had in my life. And that's like dealing with a real human being, right? This is just playing to entertain y'all. So a comparison to what I would or wouldn't do, I don't know that I can draw up for you. I think that you watch Lois in this same way I was just answering. How does she really know how she feels about this thing? I think Lois kind of realizes she's repeating the pattern in the midst of that crazy fight scene, and begins to learn a lesson in that moment, and then says to Doug, don't go after her. Whether that's the right thing or the wrong thing, or whether Lois had any responsibility in her daughter's death, I don't know the answer to those questions.
One more question? Over here.
Did you guys typically do a lot of takes? I noticed there's a 2-camera setup, or was it pretty much one and done, moved on?
Jake sort of did whatever he needed to do, you know, according to moods and what we were shooting. There's a sequence that's not even in the film that we revisited after we'd shot it. We went back and reshot it, and it's not even in the movie. And sometimes we would. I mean, you can see some of the light is that amazing evening twilight in some of the scenes. We only had that much time to shoot it in, so we shot it and ran. Jake was a director that didn't have a fixed idea of what it takes to get it out of the actor. You know, he sort of watched and saw when he got it, and then we moved on.
Did you find yourself agreeing with that?
I trusted Jake very, very thoroughly in doing it. I think many times as we were shooting, I felt that Jake knew better what he needed from Lois than I did, and was very, very guided by him in a way that's not usual as I work. Thank you so much for coming out.